All right, thank you, Ross. Good morning. Well, for us, just really happy to be 2-0. Excited about another opportunity this week to play at home again and a 3:30 kick. And the biggest thing I would say where we are right now in the season is really every week, especially at this point, is kind of a season of its own as we're developing our team and have an opportunity to play games and coach from those games. An opportunity to get better. But a lot of very, very positive things from the first two games, but also a lot of areas that we got to get better in if we're going to reach our potential. So that's what it's all about. That's why I give you 12 games, and this is game 3. Again, we're very happy to be 2-0, but just excited to see us continue to work and see if we can keep improving. Next challenge is Georgia Southern, and this is an incredibly proud program. That's the first thing I would say about them. They've won 6 national championships at the 1AA level. They're kind of that App State that has moved up now to the Sun Belt Conference, and they've already won the Sun Belt Conference back in 2014. This is a team that has gone into the swamp and won. This is a team that went to Alabama a couple years ago and rushed for 300 and something yards. This is a team that went to Georgia in Athens and they rushed for, I don't know, probably about the same, and I think they only lost by 6 points in Athens. This is a team that will not be intimidated that they're playing Clemson. All right, a very proud program. That's part of their culture. That's who they are at Georgia Southern, and so I'm excited. I've always had a lot of respect for Georgia Southern. When I was at Alabama, my recruiting area was kind of Augusta down to Savannah, all the way across the state. So I spent a lot of time in Statesboro. Signed a kid or two out of Statesboro, but in that area. But I used to go, and that would be one of the places I used to love to stay. I would stay in Statesboro. I'd go jog the campus at Georgia Southern. They had like a little lake there, and I used to go around there, and I'd be like, man, what a cool football town this is. I mean, you could just feel the tradition of Georgia Southern when you were in that town. There's a little barbecue joint. I can't remember what the name of it was, where Irk Russell used to always go. But I'd go to that little barbecue joint and eat. But I'd always try to make it a point to stay in Statesboro at least one of my nights, out traveling. And really cool place, awesome school, and a lot of tradition. And I know they'll be excited. They got 7 guys from the state of South Carolina that are coming to play us offensively. They're a triple option team. Everybody runs any type of option. They kind of all have their own flavor, and they're a triple option, but they run a lot of split zone, a lot of zone read stuff, and their quarterback is their best player, and he's from Newberry. He's a kid we offered. He's a really, really good athlete, Wirtz. And we offered him as an athlete, and he wanted to go play quarterback at Georgia Southern, and man, he's their leading rusher, leading scorer. He just does an unbelievable job for them. And, so they're 2-0, coming off 2 very good wins, and they'll be excited to come in here and play us for sure. And then over on the other side, it's a little different. It's just kind of just the opposite of the Furman game. The Furman game, I felt like, they had more experience on the offensive side, and this is just the opposite. They got 11 guys on defense that started at least 3 or 4 games last year. So a lot of guys that played a lot of football, very impressive. They got some thumpers that will flat get after you on D. So. They got a good scheme that matches their offensive scheme, so it's very complementary as far as how they want to play and how they want the game to be managed. So you got to be smart, because they do some unique things on defense with how they cheat the corners and trap the corners and play on the perimeter to try to talk you out of some of the things that look like are there. But they quickly dissolve just with their style of play. But a good group, and a couple things about their defense. They've given up 0 points in the fourth quarter, 2 games so far, so they've gotten better as the game has gone. And they've only given up 1 explosive play in 2 games. That's it. So big challenge there. That part back into our offense like we had 2 years ago. And so that's a real positive at this point. We're number one in the nation when it comes to that. There's nobody in the country that's had 6 40-plus yard plays. So that's a positive. But, Georgia Southern's only given up 1 play of 20 yards. So, we got to try to find a way to continue to be explosive. But the main thing is fixing some mistakes and cleaning up our details and our execution. Got a good kicker, and that's kind of climbing up the record books for them. But at the end of the day, it's about cleaning up execution. It's about playing our best game and trying to grow our team as we get ready for conference play. This is a huge game for us to try to improve. I don't know what the weather's going to be. My thoughts and prayers go out to all the people who were in the path of this monster, and my prayers that the good Lord will just, just do something to turn it, set it down, whatever, and that we won't have to deal with the type of devastation that it appears is coming for a lot of people. But thoughts and prayers with everyone involved. We've got players that are impacted by it, and we're going to do everything we can to help them and their families as people evacuate. I have no idea what's going to happen here. I have no clue. But our job is to get ready, and we will be ready.
Yeah, but you spoke about it a little bit. But how do you kind of balance trying to look after those players that might have relatives in Hawaii with also trying to get ready for a game?
Yeah, well, we have to. We have our set time that we have to prepare, and that's today. It starts at 2:10, and we have that time that we have to practice and get our meetings in and get ready for a ball game. But outside of that, we have to try to, and we talked about it yesterday, kind of went around the room, who could be impacted, and make sure they all know that we're here to help, and that there's some things that we can do, when people have to be evacuated and so forth. And we had it happen last year with Trayvon. His family came up here and stayed. We were able to help them with that. Just making sure that they know the resources that are available to them, and to communicate with us on what their needs are. That's the biggest thing, just communicating and making sure they know.
That the NCAA allows you to help?
Yeah. Yes.
Dabo, what was your assessment of John Simpson, Stewart?
John did not play very well, and he was disappointed in his performance, and just technically didn't do some things. He had some great moments too. Man, he had one down on the goal line. We do a big hit video every Monday, and we do a not so good video, and then we do an extra effort video. It's kind of all combined when we come back in here on Mondays, and he did some good things, but he did not have a winning performance. We have a winning grade at every position, and he did not play up to his standard, and I don't have any doubt he'll bounce back this week, and we need him to. Just technically, he knew what to do. He didn't bust assignments or anything like that, but he just did not quite play as well as he did. Cade did a good job. Cade did a pretty good job. He hurt us on one. We probably we had Renfro wide open. I don't know if y'all remember the one Kelly kind of overthrew it, and it was a change route, and he might have scored. And Kelly had to kind of rush the throw, and then he threw it a little high, but he had to throw over because they were just a simple twist. And Cade just, technically got his shoulders turned instead of staying square, and they ran just a ET twist, and the guy, he don't come off, and the guy comes free, and he's in Kelly's face, and now he kind of sails the ball a little high, and we miss a huge play in the game. And those are little things that lead to big things. And so, but he really did. It's been very encouraging. That's been quietly been a really strong battle going on between he and Pollard. And the flip side, Pollard played well. He was our lineman of the week in our room, so he did some good things. Pollard, Ankrum, and Hyatt, I thought, all played very well in the ball game. But Cade is a guy we're excited about. I mean, he's just a sophomore and really getting his first big-time experience. had one bad play, but outside of that, I thought he did a good job.
Coach, in keeping with the offensive line, Ingram's split time with Pollard at right tackle last year. Last week, he's offensive MVP against A&M. He goes toe-to-toe with the SEC sack leader from last year and holds his own. Is this what you're really hoping and expecting from him to start?
Yeah, I'm really – he and Hyatt have really kind of solidified themselves. I mean, Tremaine has had two – I told him that yesterday. I'm really proud of him. He's had two really good games. Doing his job. He's playing physical. He's playing very smart. Very pleased with Tremaine.
Coach Kelly Bryant, in his performance on Saturday, set a tone. And is that a good teaching point for you to give to your players moving forward, how Kelly has accepted the responsibility and how he's reacted to his role?
Yeah, I just think that kind of speaks for itself. I mean, everything in life is about how you respond. And, he's responded well. Both our quarterbacks did some good things, and both of them did some bad things. And we were not quite as consistent as we need to be at that position. And but I thought his leadership and his toughness and his poise down the stretch, no question. I mean, it was awesome, and it was exactly what we needed in that moment. You gave us a chance to. We're up 21-6. And then we're up, they score in 2 plays. And then we go right back down the field, bam, and answer. 28-13, fourth quarter, two touchdown lead. And, we couldn't hold it. Give them a lot of credit. But we didn't complement each other very well. We picked each other up pretty good, but we didn't complement each other well. And, we want to play complementary football. But I thought Kelly did a great job of just being composed and poised and just playing well, focusing on your job when you play. And he's been great. He's been a true example to everybody that just stay focused on the things that you control.
When Georgia Southern was going to FBS, they were going red hot, and they struggled for a year or two, and they're kind of back on track now.
Yep.
How close to back on track to where they were previously do you think they are at this point?
Well, we'll see. I mean, they're 2-0, and they're I think they got the best record in the Sun Belt. Maybe them and one other team. So they'll do fine. They'll be a team. They've just, like I said, they've got so much tradition in that program. It's not like there's some new football program. This is a team. To me, they're kind of like App State. App State was a dominant 1AA program that moved up and eventually made the adjustment. Now you play App State, you better be ready. They're really good, and so I think Georgia Southern will be the same. I know they got a new coach and all that stuff, but they're doing kind of what they've always done, what people have embraced there at Georgia Southern, and I think they know exactly what they're looking for in the recruiting process. And I'd be very surprised if they're not one of the competitive teams in their league, moving forward.
Is it a good thing that you've got Georgia Southern this week with that triple option and Georgia Tech the next week?
Well, I mean, I guess it is a good thing in that you're having to. I mean, 3 of our first 4 games are option-oriented teams. Now, again, they're all really different. I mean, it's not like they all do the same things. I mean, they're option principal teams, but they kind of all have their flavor. So it's definitely not a negative that you're having to spend 2 of your first 3 games before you get into conference play, having to play option defense and the discipline that it takes. The flip side of that is you're not playing a lot of base defense, and that's one negative. And then the other one is Georgia Tech gets usually when we play Georgia Tech, they don't have a lot of film to study us, because we really just play them once a year. Whereas now they've got some tape to study. So it's both. Works both ways.
Did they cut as much as Georgia Tech on the offensive line?
These guys, they don't cut as much. Their splits are like that big, really tight splits, but they're a little bit more zone principle, a little bit more. I mean, they run a lot of zone read, a lot of split zone stuff, but they don't cut quite as much.
Was there a point Saturday when it was decided that Kelly was going to be the quarterback for the rest of the team?
Yeah, me and Streeter, we communicate on that all the time, and you know, it's. I mean, I want I want every coach's input on everything, but it just the flow of the game and where we were, and you know, it's like, you know what, hey, here's where we are, and we're gonna go with this guy that's he's been in these big moments, and I'm super proud of Trevor. I mean, this kid did a really good job. Like I said, both of them were a little inconsistent to our standard and what our expectation is, but kind of hard to start any better than that kid did, you know, to go out right out of the gate in a run-pass option and just throw an absolutely beautiful, perfect ball to give a guy like T a chance to make a play. And just disappointed that we didn't do some things around both quarterbacks a little better when we needed them. I mean, we really only had 55 snaps in the game. I mean, that's the offense I played in. I mean, you got 50 snaps when I was playing, man. We were throwing a party. I mean, holy cow! And so it's just poor. We just didn't play with details. You know, our third down was poor, and because we weren't efficient on first and second down, and it's just that simple. Just a lot of missed opportunities. But we'll get better. We'll get better. I mean, that's why you play those games. I mean, hey, I wish I could tell you we could go to College Station and look like the you know, national championship version of Clemson at game 15, but that didn't happen. But you know what? We won. And we won a tough, gritty game with a million mistakes. We didn't turn it over. We didn't have a bunch of procedural issues. We fought. The effort of our team was awesome. I mean, I'm telling you, I can't overstate that enough. Just how hard our guys fought, and people have no idea what type of mental toughness it takes to overcome adversity on the road, and when all the momentum's going against you, to be able to just look it right in the eye and just keep fighting, and to just play the next play. I mean, I'm just really proud of our team for where we are right now. You know, we made way too many mistakes, but we're going to improve. That game right there, that's why we schedule those games. You know, we could have played Mary Poppins last week, and all right, we smash them, and we're 2-0, and everybody feels so good, and you know, but we went to College Station, and we played a team that had more 4 and 5 stars than us. Just go do the roster. Really talented team, and we really had one half of football to look at. That's really all we had. The rest of it, you know, I mean, it was a tough game to get ready for, and that quarterback, man, and I knew he was going to be. I told our staff, I said, boys, y'all better get ready, because they're destroying Northwestern State, and he's running a lead option, and he's 20 yards down the field, just diving, throwing his body. I'm like, this guy is not going to be an easy out. I'm just telling you, and he wasn't. Man, and we had him sacked probably 3 or 4 more times, and then they made some unbelievable play. Now we oh my Lord, I mean, we got guys running wide open. We're busting. We're supposed to be middle field coverage. He's down in the box. We're supposed to be playing man to man. We don't play man to man. We did some stupid stuff. All right, but the effort of our team was phenomenal. The will to win, you can't, man, if you could bottle that up, man, it's unbelievable. So I'm really proud of that. And then they made some unbelievable plays. I mean, Isaiah Simmons, I mean, he's got a guy sacked dead to rights, but he goes inside shoulder instead of upfield shoulder, and the guy spins out and makes an unbelievable play in the end zone. We got tip balls, and guys are making touchdowns. I mean, that's ball. But the busted stuff we got to fix. But the effort, if we can get that effort week in and week out, we've got a chance to be a really good team. You know, we had a winning – we played winning football. We did not play championship football last week. And we've got to improve if we're going to end up having being a team that can achieve the next goal, and that's win a division championship. That's what's next for us. So I love how our team has come back to work this week. The clear eyes and ownership of mistakes made and what we got to do. And same thing as coaches. I mean, mean, shoot, man. I mean, we got to do a better job. It's all of us. We all make mistakes in the ball game, and we all got to get better together.
Going back to Kelly, on that third down throw to Amari Rogers early in
Yep.
the game, the 64, it looked like either he was making a slide protection or a hot read or making a change to the line of scrimmage.
Yeah.
What did he do there? And then is Trevor getting to the point where he can do that? 'Cause that,
Yeah, we
obviously it's a
checked the
very
play.
veteran move.
We checked the play.
Yeah.
We checked the play, and because of the call that we had, and so yeah, he had to communicate the call, and you know, we had a bang 8 flat combination in the boundary, and they're playing a 2 safety look, so that brings him over to the field, and just it's a beautiful throw and catch, and you know, it's 2 weeks in a row that Amari has made a huge play for us, so I'm really excited about what I've seen. Renfro, big plays. Obviously, you know, T is off to an unbelievable start. You know, Overton's made a couple plays, and you know, again, we just had no rhythm. But that was a great play. The only bad thing about it was 3rd and 15. That's the only negative, you know, is that we were sitting there 3rd and 15. You know, so you're not going to make a very good living converting 3rd and 15s. So we've got to become more efficient on 1st and 2nd down.
Pre-snap with Kelly getting you on the right play, making checks. Has that been one of his bigger improvements?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, you know, just 2 games so far. Again, I thought the other night both our quarterbacks were too inconsistent. Game 1, you know, great job. We'll see as we improve, but it's been good in camp, and good in the Furman game, and a little inconsistent the other night. We've got to improve. You know, we got to take things that are there, and you know, we got to do a better job with things on the perimeter when people bottle up stuff inside, because that's a part of the running game, and we definitely got to improve in that area. But he has total command of what we're doing.
Going back to Georgia Southern, this week's depth chart, are you planning on getting some more guys playing time that you had to hold last week due to the situations? And are some of the redshirt guys that you talked about you've held that you might play this week?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, that depends on how the game goes. If we got there and, you know, I mean, heck, I mean, that's assuming that we're just going to go out there and beat Georgia Southern. I don't assume that. I mean, I'm expecting a dogfight. I'm expecting a 4-quarter game, and that's what we're preparing for. If it works out where we can play some guys, and we certainly will. But my mindset is it's the biggest game of the year. It's the championship game, biggest game of the year, season of its own, and nothing more than that.
You mentioned wanting to get the secondary some work to work through some of the issues that you saw last week. Now you got 2 option teams coming up. How do you measure their progress while still preparing for a team that's not really going to test them that way the next couple of weeks?
Well, it is what it is. So we have to measure it in practice, but you still have to execute regardless of what the plan is and who you're playing. We have a plan. We have calls. You still got to read the signal properly. You know, we signal in practice every day. You still have to line up properly, inside, outside, proper depth. You still have to put your eyes and be a disciplined player, play in and play out. It really doesn't matter. I mean, you have a job to do, and just be consistent in doing your job. All right? Yeah, it might be a different next week or 2 weeks. We're playing Syracuse, whenever that is. And then aren't they after Georgia Tech? Yeah, so we play Syracuse. Well, they're going to be 4 wides and 5 wides and, you know, different deal. But you still got to put your eyes on the right thing. You still have a call. You still have an alignment. You still have an assignment. You still have eyes and play discipline with. That never changes. The style of play that week may change, but those things never change. And so that's really, I guess, to answer your question, how you measure that is how consistently do you do your job? Do you line up properly? Are your eyes on the right things? You know, and not turning people loose or not missing signals, whatever it may be. So that's, to me, the measure. And then we go against each other in practice. You know, every Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, we go good on good. So it's not like they're not also going to have to, you know, kind of play our base defense with a different style.
Those mistakes that you saw Saturday, as you go back and look at the film, was it more mental than the technical, or maybe their guy making a play?
Totally. I mean, we had 1 million mental errors. It's just very, very disappointing. And, you know, and it's like we just all of a sudden quit playing defense. I mean, we played a really good first half. And like I said, and offensively, we didn't put people away. I mean, we've got two situations. And I mean, I thought we should have had 21, 24 points at half. It's really disappointing because I knew, all right, you let people hang around and you're on the road and it's a really talented team. It's a couple of plays. And then defensively, we go out there and then we get up 21-6. And you're like, okay, we're getting control here. And then all of a sudden, 2 plays later, they score. 70-yard play. I mean, like, we got one person playing defense on the back end. This guy's running wide open, and it's just total bust. So that's mental, and that's coaching as well. It's on all of us. You know, the safety read the signal wrong, and so he's down in the box. He's supposed to be middle field safety. He might have picked it off, or we sack him. You know, so I mean, heck, it's one thing. Like I said, there's some plays you just tip your hat. You just go, well, that was an unbelievable play. I mean, everybody's there. And so they hit the 70-yarder. Well, the next play, if you go back and look, we got like 9 people playing defense in the end zone. And I don't even know how the guy throws the ball in there and their guy catches it. It's unbelievable. Well, you just tip your hat, move on to the next play. All right? Sometimes the other team makes good plays. But it's the big play bus. And so that lets people back in games. And so we've got to stay focused and disciplined for 4 quarters and play 4 quarters of disciplined football. And people make plays, they make plays, but don't let it be a result of just base stuff. I mean base stuff that we busted. And and then the flip side of it offensively, you know, we got a chance to put people away, we got to put them away. You know, and that's the difference between offense and defense. Okay, it's 3rd and 1, no big deal, and we got a gap call and we don't block a gap. I mean, we just completely – I mean, we're going to get more than 1 yard. But we just completely don't do a very basic thing, all right, by 2 people, a very basic. Well, that's okay. We'll just punt the ball. You know, it's not like they scored. But on defense, you bust, it's a touchdown. And that's the difference between offense and defense. And so, you know, we've got to clean up some stuff on both sides. You know, and we did some good things in special teams. You know, I mean, the blocked field goal was huge, absolutely monstrous. So there's a lot of room for improvement, coaching and playing, and I don't have any doubt we'll get better.
If you're looking at consistency,
what's that?
How did you think Tanner and Denzel played? Is that competition pretty close right now?
Yeah, and Nolan right now to me is really demonstrating that he can play high level for us. Really encouraged by what we've seen with him. And you know, Kayvon made a couple mental mistakes, but man, what a relentless player he is. He's going, you know, he missed some opportunities and things like that, but I just love his will to win and his effort, and he's going to get better. Same thing with Tanner. Tanner just sometimes will get undisciplined. He'll start staring in the backfield, and he's a guy that's got to be a disciplined player. But also did some good things. And Denzel really encouraged with him. He had one mental error, one really bad mental error, but same thing. He's really starting to grow his confidence. That's why you see us playing those guys. I mean, you know, we're playing them, you know, in all situations because we have a lot of confidence in all 4 of them, and we're trying to grow our team because those 4 guys we think are ready to play and can play winning football for us. So sometimes you just got to kind of grow through it a little bit. But Denzel made a huge play on the ball over on their sideline down there going into the red zone. So he's definitely coming. But we made some mistakes for sure. But I'm pleased with all 4 of our safeties at this point.
if you're looking at consistency, keep talking about consistency. Is there anybody at this point in the season that is playing consistent winning football or more consistent, or is it across the board?
We have several guys. We have a bunch of guys that I think, we got 2 games, but we have several guys that I think have played very well in 2 games, a bunch of them. I talked about Hyde, I talked about Ankrum, 2 guys that have really played very well for us. And then flip side on the defense, I think our defensive line is playing well, very consistent after 2 games. So I think Trayvon Mullen, very, very consistent player. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that I think fit that, but we need 11. It's hard to be great on offense and defense if you got 7 out of 11 or 8 out of 11, or 5 out of 11 playing winning football. We need, and we don't ask anybody to be perfect. We have a winning grade is not 100%. We have a winning grade at each position, and we need to improve our consistency across the board on both sides of the ball and special teams.
Coach, Spires had a relatively good game.
He did.
Had the 51-yarder and a few inside the 20, but on that last one that you really needed a good one, he had the 22 yards on the rugby punt. How close is it right now between Spires and Ken?
Yeah, that was a disaster. But I actually was very pleased with him. He punted the ball very well. We rugbyed the last one. Dexter didn't get his guy on the pump. Should have been blocked the pump before, and they just came right up the middle on our shield, and we didn't block him. I don't know how the guy didn't. I guess his eyes were closed because he should have blocked it. So right there at the end, they got no timeouts. We were trying to hold the ball a little bit and just kind of get it on the ground, work a little clock, kind of a safe play, try to negate a return at all, and have a field position with no timeouts, with not a lot of time. But it didn't work out. He rushed it. He thought that he had pressure and he didn't, and he rushed it and just kind of shanked it. So that wasn't how we intended it to be. If I'd known we was going to punt it 22 yards, might have done something different. But hindsight's 20/20. But other than that, he played really well. Was very encouraged, and we still do have competition there. Carson is competing every day, and we'll see how it continues to play out. But I thought that game looked like Will of last year, the first 3 quarters of the season. So that part was encouraging. It was just unfortunate on the last play. That was not good.
When it comes to helping players' families out in a hurricane type situation, what exactly are you allowed to provide? Like lodging and food?
Yeah. We can help for the immediate family. Is what we can help. I think last year they approved Trayvon's family came up, and I think they actually were able to stay with Brent last year. So there's just that's really good that you have the opportunity to help in those situations. Kind of common sense.
Along those same lines, I know y'all opened your facility to the Citadel last year. Have any of these coastal teams reached out? Would you be open to that again?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we help anybody that needs it, and I think Charleston Southern has reached out to Woody, and he mentioned that to me yesterday. They might come up maybe tomorrow and Thursday, and practice. So, yeah, we're more than willing to help anybody that we can.
A couple of weeks ago, you were talking about the identity of 2018 comes in football. You want it to be special teams. Even though it's early in the season, do you think that's coming more and more true, or is there some ways to go in that area?
Well, we've had 2 pretty solid games, so I'm encouraged by that. We did got 2 guys loose on kickoff, that one kickoff return the other night. That was disappointing, but we're improving. I mean, our coverage has been good for the most part, although we had 2 50-plus yard punts, and we got to clean up some technique. Cornell, for example, his effort was awesome down the field, and he's got a guy dead to rights, and he just didn't have good technique to finish the play, and instead, so we gave up 2.5 first downs on punt return, and that's critical. So we got to clean up some things for sure. But I like what we've done in field goal protection. Obviously, our push at field goal block, our effort has been awesome. It was a huge play in the game to block that field goal the other night. We've made a long kick. Hugo's been very consistent with his extra points, and then Potter has he's a young guy that has shown that he's got a pretty special leg. So. At this point, after 2 games, I think our special teams have made a difference. For certainly the first game, we had 2 punt returns for 87 yards. We didn't really have a lot of opportunity the other night in punt return. Our kickoffs have been awesome, We've made field goals, and you know, again, I thought we punted. We didn't really punt the ball in the first game, but to the very end of the game. But I thought the other night in a critical situation, our punts were pretty good. We still averaged 40 a punt, and that was with a 22-yarder mixed in at the end. So far, so good. Justin is, man, he's been a real bright spot in 2 games. He's another one of those guys you talked about. I mean, he's been very consistent, very encouraged. He's quietly put together a great camp and a very good 2 games, very productive. He's just kind of a lunch pail guy, man. Big motor, high effort, heavy-handed, physical, and just, you know, dependable. And then Xavier, we mixed him in on some third down stuff the other night, trying to get his speed in the game. And I think the very first play he was in there, he had a hit on the quarterback. He's just going to get better. Pleased with him. 2 games, and got some special teams work as well with him, and you'll continue to see that. So encouraged.
How about his coverage?
Well, you know, I'd rather not have him in coverage in that situation. I'd like for him to rush quarterback, but the call dictated that. We had a peel call, and the positive is he knew what to do, you know, and it wasn't bad. I mean, it was kind of it probably could have gone either way. The ball kind of skipped a couple times. It wasn't going to be complete, but, you know, he was where he was supposed to be. At least he was aware enough in that situation to attempt to do his job, you know, and make it on a peel call with that particular call of defense that we had. But you know, we don't want to make a living with Xavier playing coverage. He can do it. I mean, and he will as he matures and grows up. He will for sure. He'll be able to cover anybody. That guy can fly. But right now we'll see if we can keep the game a little simpler for him and let him mature in his role.
I think ETN had 8 carries. Was that a function of being behind the chains on a regular basis?
Yeah, well, he had 11 touches, and yeah, I mean, like I said, we only had 55 snaps that were really worth a darn, and it was a combination of how inefficient we were, how poor on third down we were, and just, you know, kind of some of the situations in the game. But yeah, he's got to touch the ball. Feaster's got to touch the ball. I mean, we got to. I mean, we know that, and it just didn't really work out for Feaster well the other night. He had a couple rotations in where he didn't get the ball, and then he had a couple, you know, bad plays where we got blown up on a Falcon, and then we messed the sprint draw up. You know, just poor execution, but not a lot of opportunity. But yeah, I mean, like I said, we're an 80, 85 plus snap team, and you know, ET's got to touch it. I mean, he's got to touch the ball. He had 3 big plays in the passing game for us, and you know, Feaster is a guy that you'd like to see about. To me, I'd like to see about 35, 40 touches with our backs, some form or fashion. You know, depending on the type of game and those type of things. And then, you know, that's a lot of other touches left for the quarterbacks and the receivers and tight ends and so forth. But yeah, we've got to get it going and do a better job of making sure those guys touch the ball. And but again, style of game, situations of the game can dictate certain things, but we have to get a little bit better there and making sure those guys touch it.
Does the absence of Garrett Williams affect you guys a little bit at the point of attack there in the rushing game?
Well, it doesn't make us better. I mean, I thought, you know, that wasn't a big factor the other night, but I mean, it just wasn't with the issues that we had the other night. It wasn't because Garrett wasn't there, but Garrett makes us better. There's no doubt, and I expect him to be back this week. He was ready to play last week. You know, we just weren't as confident as coaches, and just really. But he felt good during pregame and all that. But looked good last night. We'll see how he does today and tomorrow, and I do expect him to be ready to go this weekend if we don't have some type of setback or something. But he makes us better. There's no doubt. I mean, he really brings a hard edge, and it's not just in the box. It's on the edge too. It's on the perimeter. So he's a good football player, and you know, to have him available is a real plus for us.
Coach, today is the anniversary of 9/11. I'm just wondering where you were that day and what this day means to you.
Yeah. Well, I was driving from Tuscaloosa. I was out of coaching in 01. I had been working at AIG Baker for 6 months. I was into my 6th month. I had started April 2nd, and so it was about an hour and 15, 20-minute drive every day from Tuscaloosa to 280, where I was kind of near my hometown, to be honest with you, not too far. But I was on 459, and I just remember, I don't know, I was listening to one of the radio stations, local radio stations, listening to Kwok and Kelly. So I don't know, listening to somebody talking football, talking something, and so I used to use that time, that hour and something. I used to use that time. That was prayer time, quiet time, and then I just kind of catch up what was going on, listening to sports world. And I wasn't coaching. It was my first time to not be coaching. I'd think about what I had to do that day at work or whatever, but I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. In fact, I was telling Kath last night, golly, man, I can't believe that's been 17 years ago. But I was driving down 459 in my green Tundra. I love my green Tundra. And it's ironic, I still got a Tundra. But I was driving down the road, and all of a sudden they came over and interrupted on the radio and just started talking about, you know, there's been a plane crash. You know, at first it was like they just thought it was like a crash. They didn't know what was going on. And wow! And then all of a sudden it comes back, and then it just everything gets consumed on the radio that I'm listening to, and I'm just in my mind I'm going, man, this can't be real. It was very surreal. It was a very surreal moment, and so I listened on the way, and then I get to the office, and it was a very emotional day. It was an incredibly emotional day for everyone. It was a scary day. And we as a company, there was nothing done that day. We just sat and we watched TV and we listened, and nobody could believe what we were seeing. I mean, it was just heartbreaking and gut-wrenching and just an incredibly emotional. And just remember thinking about my 3-year-old and my 2-year-old, and the world that they're going to grow up in, and it was unbelievable, and it impacted so many things in this country. And I remember, at that time I had a project in Las Vegas, I had a project in Kansas, and I remember they shut all flights down. You couldn't do anything, and we had some of my coworkers were stuck at places because we were a company. We were doing stuff all over the country, and so it was a very, very emotional time, I think, for everybody. And I think it's great to take some time today and pause and reflect on all the people who lost their lives, the impact that had on all their families, the children who lost moms and dads. And then all the unbelievably brave and heroic people that I saw that day. The old saying, there's one thing there's a difference between running away from a fire and running to it. And people that were running to it and through it, and just amazing heroism from so many people, and the policemen, the firemen, the first responders that lost their lives trying to save others. And I know there's a lot of people out there today whose lives were saved because of the sacrifice of others. And so that's what I think about when I think about it. And, I think about the kid with the red handkerchief. I think about his mom and dad, kid from Boston College. Crowder. And in fact, I still got that red hanky. I carry it in my briefcase. It just stays in my briefcase. And think about his mom and dad, and how this kid saved other people's lives. And so, you know, just you never know how you might respond in a situation like that. But incredibly difficult day for our country. You know, obviously I wasn't alive during Pearl Harbor, but I would imagine it was probably a very similar feeling for this country. And so hopefully it's not something that we ever have to deal with again. And it was a tough day, one I'll never forget.
Coach, on a lighter note, who were players of the game from Saturday?
Players of the game were Clee on defense, and it was Higgins on offense, and Dexter Lawrence was our special teams player of the game in the block field goal. All right, appreciate it.